having the 270 Electoral College votes he needs. Joining me now here at the table, Congressman John Rose. Congressman, it's good to have you drop by here at the Wilson County Fairgrounds, right here in your own backyard.
Yes, good to be in the 6th District tonight.
Yeah. So tell me how you feel about how things are going tonight, and what are you hearing?
Well, I'm optimistic, and the early results look great. Obviously great here in Tennessee. Great to see Marsha Blackburn with a big victory. And thank you to the voters of the 6th District for giving me another shot at representing them.
Good. That's great news. Congratulations on that. So I know that, being a member of Congress and all, you probably have some inside sources. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm very optimistic about the evening. I think tonight is going to be a vindication of what we've all been saying about who should lead this country. As a January 6th objector, I think tonight we set the record straight for what happened in 2020, and I was proud to support the president then, still proud to support him tonight.
Yeah, the results we're hearing seem to suggest that independent voters have made a decision, and that they are breaking in pretty big ways in some of these battleground states for Donald Trump.
I think that's right, and I think we're going to know tonight who the next president's going to be.
You don't think we'll have to wait several days?
I don't think we'll have to wait.
Wow, then you're feeling really optimistic. Any surprises along the way so far?
I haven't seen any. I think the night's going our way, and these early totals seem to point that way. And independence breaking our way, I think, is a big message.
One of the things that they told us, the Trump people said, hey, you know what, keep an eye on Virginia, and it was worth watching. We were told to also take a look at New Hampshire. I'm going to take a look there. It is still very much a Harris's game at this point, with 34% of the vote in. But, I mean, that vote in Virginia, if he wins the Commonwealth of Virginia, which I know that you know a little bit about because it's right next door to Washington, D.C., that would be something.
Absolutely. I think if you see that, developing, if he's going to win, if he could win Virginia, that's the whole ball game.
Have you heard any area where they were a little nervous? I mean, some people talked about Iowa. I'm not too worried about Iowa. Some people talked about, maybe there'll be a surprise down the path. But, I mean, so far it's shaping up the way I think they hoped it would.
Absolutely. I think some of the polls you saw over the weekend were bogus, and we could tell that. And I think the results tonight are going to demonstrate that.
All right, now, the big question is, will Republicans retain the House? And it looks pretty clear to me at this hour that we'll have a Republican Senate. That's not for sure yet, but it's looking good. It's a much closer question in the House of Representatives.
It really is, and I think I haven't gotten a chance to watch any of the close races, but I think that's the real question mark. Does the president have coattails? Can he get some of our House members across the finish line? We've got a lot of members that are in districts that probably they shouldn't have won, but they did. And the question is, can they hold on to those seats?
Yeah, so we're watching that very carefully. When do you think we'll probably have a sense of that?
I think that's going to be maybe not tonight.
No, several days before we get the sense on that. Well, it's a great turnout here in Wilson County. I mean, isn't it wonderful that we have such a tremendous and loyal fan base that they show up at these events?
It is, absolutely. Let's hear it for WTN.
Yeah.
And US Pest, let's hear it for the sponsor tonight.
All right, so listen, Matt Murphy wants to come in and join us here on the conversation. See, I've exhausted my range of questions. You got anything you'd like to ask the Congressman while we have him here for just a moment?
Well, I bet you've asked him how he thinks the night's going so far. I bet that's been covered, Brian. I'm certain of that.
Yeah, where we are right now is he says that he's thinking maybe a day or two before we determine the House.
Well, I mean, I want to ask John a more Tennessee-centered question, and I don't know if you guys got into any of the Tennessee politics. I mean, obviously we got Marshall going back to Washington, D.C., but as the state of Tennessee goes, John, a lot of people that we talk to on Super Talk are interested in what's coming down in 2025, and I'm wondering if you've thought about it. I know you're focused on D.C. I understand that. But I'm wondering if you've thought about this issue of school choice, and what do you say to your constituents when they ask you about it? Because it's coming back up in the Tennessee General Assembly. I know that you're not a part of that body, but what do you say as a fellow Tennessean?
Well, I think we appreciate our freedom as Tennesseans, and so I think giving Tennesseans the right to choose, to make choices about lots of things, but their education for their children. I have young children, and I want the freedom to be able to decide where they go to school.
Did they make it here tonight, John? That's a big question too.
They are here, yes.
All right.
I think they're in the back somewhere right now.
And your better half somewhere with you.
Yes,
with them,
yeah.
Probably so. So, well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for stopping by our place. I'm certain that you're excited that March has been declared. There's really no question about anybody in the state of Tennessee. Would you expect? I mean, the House is secure as far as Tennessee, the lay of the land goes.
I think Tennesseans have done their job tonight. I think they've given us the victory margins that we wanted here in Tennessee.
How important is that? And if I'm covering ground that Brian covered, I apologize because it's a little difficult to hear in the back. But I mean, how important is that Senate margin? I mean, we expect 2, 3, even 4 pickups. And, you know, I know that you guys get a lot of grief because you get calls to your office, why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? Well, we are, guys. It just goes nowhere in the Senate right now. How important is that Senate for you?
It's critical. Just being in control of the Senate, having Republicans in control of the Senate will allow us to get things done that we're otherwise are just dying there. You know, the current leader, Senator Schumer, has just sat on so many of the bills that we've sent him. We would have addressed the border, energy, any number of these issues, election integrity, all of those things would be taken care of. Keeping men out of women's sports, that's something we've passed twice on the House side.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it be a remarkable thing if we could sweep the House, the Senate, and the White House?
Absolutely.
What would you, if that, let's say hypothetically that happens, what would you imagine would be the first things that Republicans would try to do?
I think getting our southern border under control is number one, and frankly is an easy thing to do if we just have the will, the leadership in Washington to get that done. That would be huge for this country. I think getting us back on track with being the biggest energy producer in the world, bringing down the cost of fuel, that would be huge for the economy. And then getting spending under control in Washington is something that I think with control of the House and Senate and the presidency we can do.
You know, in the past, we have had all three.
Yeah.
And we didn't take advantage of it.
That's right.
Do you think that's a lesson learned?
I hope it's a lesson learned. That's why I ran for Congress in 2018, because I was so frustrated with the Republican Congress that was not supporting President Trump. And so I went to Washington to do that. Unfortunately, we lost the House that year, and our ability to help the president declined because of that. So I hope that I get to serve these next 2 years in a House majority with the Senate majority and the White House.
You know, with that in mind, the point that Brian brings up, it's interesting to me how you message, because President Trump has said that one of his priorities would be to focus on fiscal discipline. He's talked about, you know, putting Elon Musk in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency. What's the message to the people of Tennessee and around the country as to how that looks? Because it feels like, you know, we've been eating ice cream for a while to our national debt chagrin. It's time to maybe eat some peas and veggies for a while and get a little more fiscal discipline in the way.
We are going to have to be disciplined, but I say to everyone, and you've heard me say, Matt, the key to getting ourselves out of the problem we're in fiscally in this country is to grow the U.S. economy. And the way to grow the U.S. economy is to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of Americans and Tennesseans and let them make this economy hum, grow the economy. That's gonna get us out of this problem.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please give us a big round of applause for Congressman John Rose of the 6th Tennessee Congressional District. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you. Great honor and privilege to represent the people of Tennessee.
All right, you can just lay those headphones there, and we'll call the other guys back up to the stage now.